Stats, thank you for being so kind as to make sure all your settings are correct, because nobody would rather watch you play at not your full potential just to save some time.
Thank you, Stats.
Thank you, Stats, for being just so diligent on making sure your equipment works.
Well, after maybe the problems that Flash had, we still don't know what that is. I'm sure we'll find out a little bit later. But, you know, I'm sure Stats has got to be saying, okay, everything has to be perfect. I do not want anything to be not perfect going into this game, especially when so much is on the line.
Yeah, playing against Gold Zerg Rogue here. In all-time Pro League, he's 14-22, but he did very, very well for himself this season. He's 4-2, 2-1 against Protoss. This guy used to be known as Savage, and for, it seems like a very, very brief period of time, known as Climax. So if you don't recognize him from last season, that's who he is. He's Savage. But going by the name Rogue now, I like the name. It actually feels like it suits him.
Yeah,
quite a
I like
bit.
it as well.
Well, this could be our very final match of the night. If Rogue is able to take it, JINAIR Green Wings will win 3-0. Stats looks like he's ready. He's meditating. He's the last hope for KT Rolster. Let's go into the game. The map is King Sejong Station. All right, looks like actually we had to have the lobby rehosted. Sorry. Oh,
Man. All that energy.
oh, all the energy just. Oh, one back. Yep.
Rogue was just given something.
He just put a Skittle next to his keyboard. He's like, eat this.
He's like,
a little bit later on.
take this.
So
You're going to need this.
Professor Lupin from Harry Potter. Eat this, you'll feel better. That was your best line, Professor Lupin, when you gave Harry Potter chocolate. Before everybody found out you were a werewolf and you got exiled, basically.
Poor Professor Lupin.
Poor Professor Lupin. Bad luck, Lupin. Just tries to help Harry fight Dementors and gets outed as a werewolf. All right, the map is really ready this time. The players are ready. Stats versus Rogue, what could be our final map of the night here on the King Sejong Station.
Down here in the bottom right, the red Protoss of KT Rolster. The last hope for them, it is Stats.
Very focused, making sure all of his gear is working perfectly. No issues whatsoever. Up against Gold Zerg Rogue. Starting to the top left in blue. Seems to be a map that Protosses do not like to play straight up on. We've seen a lot of timing attacks, be it Blink Stalkers, a +2, Immortal All-Ins, you know, Zealot Pressure. It usually ends up being that I feel whoa. Oh, okay, never mind. For some reason I thought that was Proxy. I was like, whoa. Anyways, carry on. Carry on. Don't do anything weird.
Carry
Stats.
on,
Just
Stats.
continue
Don't
doing
listen to
normal.
Wolf.
Everything is normal. Everything's fine. But it seems to be that most players or most pro players who win on this map get ahead by either Zealot Pressure that killed the third base, you know, a specific timing attack that wins the game, or just a critical amount of damage done, a Warp Prism drop. Even we've seen that a few times. That kind of play, not usually the late game Protoss play that wins out.
No, we've seen a bunch of games on this map where Protoss try to go late game, or maybe their early pressure didn't quite work and they transitioned, but didn't quite work out for them in the long run. We do see a forge first for Stats here, so he's going to probably want to put down some cannons.
Since Stats used carriers recently, that sign was a reference to Kim Carey, Brood War caster who often got excited about carries. Stats recently used this in his match against the Meching Terran player Supernova for reference. Go and check that out. It's a good match to watch. And he's actually going to try to cannon here, but with the 2 drones, it's going to be deflected. Rogue is not taking any chances. I don't even think he should try for it, to be honest. He's going to, it looks like, at least fake it.
Yeah, he's going to put on 1 pylon. We do see Rogue very, very prepared for this. He has that 1 drone there on hold position.
You know what, actually? The thing is, if he commits, drones will have to be forced off the line.
Little mistake there. Walled himself out and had to cancel. And eventually those 2 drones got in with him as well. And he just gave out up on it, kind of. Only has 1 pylon there now.
If you think about the time lost mining from those drones that he sent down, it definitely was worth it when it comes to the cancellation minerals lost. He's lost about 50 minerals there. He's going to lose the 100 on the pylon. That's now useless. But the real drawback is how delayed his Nexus is as a result, because losing those minerals in the short term is not as significant as losing the Nexus.
Yeah, and Rogue was able to get that hatch down first. Besides, the lost mineral time, pretty safely. And he's looking pretty good. Like you mentioned, a later Nexus for stats here. So it's going to put stats at a very, very small disadvantage to start things off. But like we said before, on this map, not the greatest for Protoss versus Zerg. And maybe that's just the straw that breaks the camel's back.
For sure. The pylon will go down, but he won't actually really be supply blocked really at all, because the Nexus finishes at about the exact same time. I mean, he was supply blocked for half a second, and his next pylon's ready as well, so he's very much okay here. Now the question is, what is the follow-up? Because not only does the Forge delay his Nexus pretty significantly, but it also delays his tech. He has to get the cannon up first. His Cybernetics core is delayed. Therefore, any Warp Gate pressure you wanted to put on is very delayed. Any Stargate pressure you want to put on is very delayed. And, ooh, I like this. Just going to start working on those rocks. Why not? You got 2 Zerlings on the map. Make them worth something.
Yeah. We see from so many very successful Zerg players just doing very, very small stuff like this. We were saying before, you could study the programmers play something if you are at a similar level and you want to try to take some tricks from them, but this isn't a huge micro trick here, just sending these 2 Zerglings over here to take down these rocks a little bit early. This is just something you can do to open up another path into the opponent's base, and why not do it? Because these 2 Zerglings would just be sitting at home if not.
Right.
And he's going to be able to open that up eventually.
The only drawback to ever doing this would be that you don't have a spotter for the Forge. But on this map, with the way the Overlord positioning works, you can have an Overlord that's completely protected by the high ground, as we see here, that has complete vision of the Forge. So he doesn't have to worry about sentries chasing him down like this Overlord, on the other hand, does. So he doesn't need those 2 Zerglings to spot the Forge timing. That, I do not think it would be physically possible for him to have clicked on that fast enough to identify what that was.
No, it's...
And he's going to turn around, actually, as a result. He's going to have to sack his Overlord, but he will see it.
Yep, he gets it. He clicked on it. He knows his Twilight Council coming down.
That's a great choice, by the way. He's probably going to lose that Overlord no matter what, but seeing that and turning around is an excellent choice by Rogue. Now he knows exactly what he's up against.
Yeah.
And
I feel like something we've seen, maybe not the best on this map, but I would have liked to see, we saw this in the Race Wars actually, a lot of Protoss is going for the Immortal push with a ton of sentries. Could have done something similar like that. It's not super tech heavy. I just feel like maybe on this map it's not the best build.
This map I feel is much better for the Blink Stalker +2.
Yeah.
You can hit at the back of the natural. That's why he makes his Roach Horn here, by the way. We've seen games almost decided by the Roach Horn being behind those destructible debris at the natural and being killed by the Blink Stalkers with +2. We've seen this build on this map so many times. And he's definitely not all in with this right now because he's getting a 3rd Nexus. He's going to have an explosion of minerals from that where you can still put the pressure on it. I think he's still going to commit to an attack. Well, there's some flexibility here. You also see him adding the robotics right now. So this is not the same type of commitment that we've seen in the past where it's super, super all in, and it's all about the Blink Stalker control. But that Roach Warren location, again, another smart move by Rogue.
Yeah. It's going to be very safe from any aggression that can come over to the left side of the base. If he does, on the other hand, try to go all the way over to the right side of the base, maybe after getting through the defense that would come at the 3rd base, he could maybe take it down. But in the first place, it's in a decent position to be hit as well.
Overlords deciding to spread out instead of just sitting around with their hands in the pockets doing nothing. Rogue has commanded them.
Yeah.
And they're going to get a little bit more vision of, possible attack locations. So Blink and +2 are finishing up right now. He does have a few gateways to pressure with. He's definitely going to start putting on some pressure. Probably going to, queue up some Immortals at home and start transitioning because this is not an all-in. This is not a massive commitment. It is a commitment, and he is going to try to force units to be made instead of drones. The rust distance on this map is pretty far, so if he forces a lot of Hydras right here, which he is going to try to, when they come to counterattack at the 3rd base, after he realizes it's basically just a fake, a poke, it's going to take a lot longer to cross the map on this map than on other maps like Yunsu, for example.
Yeah. This is just something the Protoss can do to just put on a little pressure, like you mentioned, try to force army units. One thing he doesn't want to do is get caught out. He's going to be forced to recall. So far, though, Rogue, I don't think he knows the army is out on the map here, so he's going to try to send in a ton of these speedlings right now towards this third base and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is such a cool move that we're seeing here by Stats. Meanwhile, but let's talk about this rumba that you mentioned. +2 finishes here, and he actually recalls. He's a little bit scared. But what he's done here is he's trying to, because I don't think he saw the Roach Warren. I think he's like, all right, you're going straight into Hydras, and that's exactly what I want. I'm going to try to make as many as possible while I attack into your natural here. And then I'm going into double Robo Colossi behind this, so I'm trying to force you to go to Hydras, and then I have the perfect answer. This is spotted, of course, now by Rogue, who's putting on that counter pressure.
Yep. Very, very interesting build here. We do see, though, on the other hand, Rogue is very, very meticulous with his scouting so far. He's sending in the Overseers a lot here, getting these speedless Zerglings around the base of Stats so far. So if he can identify this and try to at least get a Spire down, get something in response to this, because he's going to need it. If Stats can build up to 4, even 6 Colossi here and go for an attack, it's going to be so hard to hold off with just Hydra Roach.
Yeah, that's what Colossi want to fight, especially a Hydra Roach composition that's so Hydraless heavy. Instead of Roaches, the overcharge forced out here. He's actually going to lose a few of his Stalkers. One preemptive force field there as Stats is kind of forced to multitask between 2 fronts, and Infestation Pit spotted on the production tab. Well, you know this could only mean one of 2 things, and it starts to seem more and more likely we're going to see Swarm Hosts so great on this map.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting on the pressure here, Rogue is, and he's going to see this Colossi. He does not have to attack into this. If he feels confident, he can, but he could just take this late. I mean, he's on 4 base now. He will be very, very good in the late game. He's in a great position right now. He's keeping Stats all the way back.
Yeah, and he's even going into the main base here with a few Roaches. He's just keeping on the pressure. He knows the Colossus range is not done. He saw the timing. He saw that the Lance was not being researched with his Overseer earlier. Very, very meticulous scouting. He's continuing to pressure over here at that third base. He's got a great angle on the Nexus, which is, by the way, starting to take a lot of shield damage. And it looks like there's not enough energy for an overcharge. He used so much of that earlier.
Look at this. Rogue is even ready for this. He spotted that Warp Prism at the same time as attacking at 2 places. He has those units in response here. He's on top of stuff. And now it's 7 Swarm Hosts coming out here. He's in a great position. He has 4 bases. Now he could take the middle one whenever he wants. He has total map control.
Yep. 9 Swarm Hosts out. Locust lifetime upgrade. Burrow +2. Spire for Corruptors. Stats is not in a bad place right now, but I just really am impressed with how Rogue is playing this. I mean, he's just so map aware. Multitasking is really solid. Like you said, just being able to see a Warp Prism while attacking on 2 fronts, running Roaches into the main base. This army is scary, though, and he does not have any answer for the Colossi just yet. The only answer is Hydralis and a few Roaches. This army is very, very deadly right now.
Look at this, a blink forward trying to catch one of the Swarm Hosts. He does get one, and like you said, very scary. 4 Colossi in the back with only Hydra Roach and those Swarm Hosts. He is trying to attack on 2 fronts now, trying to get some of those Colossi down. Not very successful so far.
Yeah, but he has to actually start to trade a few of his units away, because if he doesn't, he won't be able to make Corruptors, and that's really what he wants right now. Decides to run away with the Stormhouse after getting a few Locusts away. He's going to re-burrow, send some of the Locusts out, then try to retreat again, just constantly trying to send wave after wave to protect them, and then retreat. Should decide to run away here. The Hydra is coming again for a flank, and it's not a very good trade, but he needs those Corruptors. Like I said, I'm sure he's making some right now if his Spire is completed. Uh-oh, the Swarmhosts need to get out of here. The Stalkers blink forward. This is looking really good for Stats right now.
The blink forward taking out so many of these Swarm Hosts, almost all of them down, and now with the +3 on all these Protoss units, he's going to blink forward, and it just doesn't look like there's enough here for Rogue.
Oh, his production is camped. This is going to be the end. Just way too many drones. He has at 80 drones. Not respect this Protoss army. He thought his Swarm Hosts would be defense enough, but he had no answer for the Colossi, and they ripped him to shreds here. Just have way too many Hydralisks. GG. And Stats keeps the hope of KT Rolster alive, taking their very first win here.
Wolf, we've been pretty much wrong on all of our predictions so far for these 3 games.
Yeah.
I felt like Flash and TOI were going to take it, and then Rogue maybe take one for JINAIR here, but so far it's gone the exact opposite way. The problem here for KT Rolster, or not for KT Rolster, for JINAIR Green Wings now is that they have Terminator left. And is he going to be Zest and not get this ace match to come out? That's definitely what they need.
Yeah, Zest, man. Zest, he was like the person that nobody expected to get an all kill. His potential has not even been fully realized, I feel. He was sent out as an ace player multiple times for KT Rolster. He never performed. And what we learned in that